Welcome back to the Punch channel. Okay, let's get underway. This is Stalingrad Relief. It is part of the Battles in the East series. It is Battles in the East, I suppose, not quite number 5, but it is its own thing. And this is the advance of the 4th Panzer Army from the Kotelnikovo area in an attempt to relieve, to basically forge a supply line through Stalingrad. This game takes place from the 9th to the 28th of December 1942. And the game is published by, let's see, Decision Games, and it's part of the World at War magazine game edition, number 107. Alrighty, so got some things to unpack. We got some a lot of arrows over here. So most of what's going on here is movement. This first turn, I chose to. I'm choosing to optimize for movement and get the guys down the road, if you will. I had 2 attacks grand total. One with attack supply, thus the red dice, at 12 to 1. Didn't even bother to use artillery. I think the base units had plenty. And then I had a 2 to 1 attack. Now I did use the 1 left shift out of the headquarters. I didn't see anything prohibiting me from doing so, and I had a defensive 2. And these were in general supply, these units here. So I think I had 4, grand total of 4 points. So 4 to 2, shift left, shift right, 2 to 1. All right, so those are the attacks, and we'll come back to those in a bit. First, the movements. So the darker arrows are, bear with me, initial movement phase movements. The white arrows are mechanized movement phase movements. So we have the 4th Romanian Army headquarters come up to Sharnakovsky initially. I think he did that, yeah. They come up to Sharnakovsky and then move a couple more hexes. That rounding up is rather nice, I think. I think it's a round up. Yeah, I think it's a round up, right? So 1 1/4, which would be the quarter move that he should get, should round up. I'll have to go and look at that. I'm not entirely certain that's the case, in which case he comes back 1 hex. Not all that big a deal. And he doesn't get attack supply for another turn plus anyway, so not a big deal. You can see this this tan series was this stack. There were actually units from a couple different hexes that wound up, I think, here and here, and thus the attack on the initial location of Soviet 51st Army headquarters and 13 Mech Brigade. So, okay, I'll talk the combat. Basically, got a 6 on the combat, and that was a 1 loss on the defender side, which they chose to take as a defeat. And we have the advance after combat. I think my stacking is okay. Battalion, camp group, and a regiment. I think that's no more than 3 RE, regimental equivalents. I think I'm good. Okay, over here in 57th Panzer Corps sector, we actually have 57th. No. This was the, yeah. So the infantry, the 23rd Panzer Infantry started over here, disengaged. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then picked up, again, I'm using that half, round up. So they get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also notice that 15 Luftwaffe Division has come up from Kotelnikovo, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think they were participants in the attack. So the attack was 1 what, an out of supply one, which rounded up to, I think, minimum one anyway. But I had enough units in the area that it was 12 to 1, basically. And that was all she wrote. Got some advance after combat, and then, yeah, I think I didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, advance after combat, the +1 hex for the mechanized, right? When you eliminate, you do an advance after combat to the hex of the opponent, and then one more hex adjacent. And I believe they wound up either here or here. I've slept since then. We'll just say that. But then got their 4 move, and this is the balance of 23rd Panzer plus, I swear that 228's got to be a Stug unit. It looks as if it ought to be, tracked self-propelled guns from the symbol. I'll have to look up. I've got some other games that do this sort of thing. Yeah, see, self-propelled artillery. That's, so like M109s or something like that, or what would it be, a Hummel, or some sort of tracked self-propelled artillery. But this points, it doesn't have a one right shift on it, and it looks like an armored unit. I think this is a Stug. So I'll have to go looking for the appropriate symbol. It could be a mechanized anti-tank, maybe. Anyway, I've got other games that use Stugs, and they use what I think is the appropriate NATO symbology, and I'll research that and get back to y'all. Okay, so let's see. So 23rd Panzer, the motorized infantry, came around, disengaged, came around, got the balance of their movement, put them in Verkhneye Blocknye. 2 syllables, I think. Blocknye. Verkhneye Blocknye. Oh. Yeah, that place, which we shall call that place. Anyway, strong attack, took out the flanking unit here. So the 6th Panzers kicked off from their 3220 starting hex. Those are the black arrows, and just came up, straight up move. This is only 7 forward, so there's that discrepancy, right, between the Panzer unit and the Panzer Grenadier and motorized infantry. I chose to keep them together, and then, of course, they all rounded. The 7 moves rounded to 4, and the 8 got 4 because they are in attack supply. So 1, 2, 3 for the river, 4, as I understand it, and yeah, +1. All right, so that's basically it. I did bring these. I don't know quite where they started off. They started off somewhere in this vicinity, out of contact, came up, put them here, and I realized I have my headquarters and Kirchner here in 2718. I realized 2617 left the door open for a flanking maneuver that would put them adjacent to the headquarters. So I took the liberty and the opportunity of moving them one over. So you'll notice a pattern here. Units that have 2 intervening hexes, and that is because of the sticky Zox. It's not perfect. I've got some artillery right here, basically an artillery park, if you will, in these 2 hexes. I do have a garrisoning. Let's take a look here. Yeah. So I've got a couple of points in units here, and so that's not horrible. And this guy is only going to get a 1 if he comes forward, which he can do into either of these 2 hexes and then attack over here, but it's a 1-to-1 attack, plus artillery and other shifts, and there you have it. One of the things that I haven't quite figured out yet is whether, so I use the 1 left shift over here in self-defense, and I'm not certain that's quite right. Much the same. Well, it wouldn't matter for the German artillery because they don't have defensive shifts, they have offensive shifts, so won't worry too much about that. All right. So this is a longish video for the amount of action that's going on here. But as I said, I'm learning and learning and putting together and integrating a whole bunch of information. At one point, for example, when I was preparing to make this video, I had kicked out with the 243. Again, I think it's Stug. With the 243 Stug, I thought, well, I got 4 points to play with, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And come out here as a flanking maneuver with my mech movement. Then I realized, hold it, this guy is not, I can't do that. He's in general supplies, so he only gets to do a quarter. So that would be 2 hexes, and that doesn't even allow for a disengage with the remaining hex. So is what it is. Anyway, thanks, and I'm going to try and put together. I'll go ahead and I'll play the Soviet version, the Soviet portion of Turn 1, Soviet phases, and then I'll put together the video for that, and I'll put them both together. So I should wind up with, let's see, 10 turns, assuming I go the distance. 10 turns, 10 videos. Okay. I've already done 2 videos at this time, a setup and sort of a drill practice analysis video that's already been posted. And of course I will have a review, final thoughts, lessons learned type of video at the end of the series. Now, if I do some gameplay, try and do some, quote, live, big rock and roll quotes, live, gameplay, of course it'll be videoed, then I may have an additional video clip or 2. But it looks like this whole series will run max, 13 videos max, and that's fine. That feels about right. All right, well, that's kind of the housekeeping, heads up, overhead type stuff. And we'll see how this story plays out. I'm feeling very positive, though, because with the mech move, I've already got effectively 2 divisions. Yeah, the Stug's actually a better alternative than the mech infantry over here, although he doesn't have the... No, he does have the staying power. All right. Yeah, because he becomes a 1... Bear with me. I need something. Hold the thought. All right. So we have the Stug on the left and the 126th Motorized Regiment of the 23rd Panzer Division on the right. And they are on either side. They are equivalent units, except that the 228th is, because they're Stugs, they're armored. Offensive armored, so they get the nice shift. So that is really quite convenient. So at this time, even though 23rd Panzer is sitting a little distance behind where the rest of the division is, I still have the full division's worth of strength over here near Kondorov. So I have 2 full divisions that, generally speaking, I want to have go in this direction. And we'll see what the Soviet response is. Obviously, they would want to interpose, either do a flank to try and get down towards Kotelnikovo, direct intercept, or come left. I mean, right, center, left, take your pick. Of course, I can't do anything with the 57th and the 64th, but the interesting thing is I can get across the Mishkova next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm across the Mishkova. So I'm there on turn 2, which is interesting because that triggers 57th and 64th. So do I hold at the Mishkova for a turn? Do I come over here and consolidate and look to maybe isolate, get myself a little cauldron battle going, Kesselschlacht on the 51st? I don't really care about the 51st. They are an inconvenience. They're not terribly strong. Mostly they can threaten my supply lines. And I really care about the 2nd Guards Tank Army. I care about the 57th. So there's an interesting timing aspect to this, you know. If I cross the line too early, right, that's going to let 57th and 64th act. If I wait, that lets 2nd Guards Army bring more force onto the board. Now, I'm good until the 4th turn. They're going to get 4th Mech. What is 4th Mech? 4th Mech Division, 4th Mech Corps. I think the Soviets would call it a corps. They'll get 4th Mech Corps, turn 1. They'll get the headquarters, which will give them attack supply. Yep. But they're in general supply anyway. Keep that as a reminder to me. So, but these are useful interposing units, these guys, and then they will get an anti-tank unit on turn 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they get another chunk of units on turn 5, so it's interesting. I think part of this is, okay, initial piece of advice. If you want to play this, I guess in a competitive sense, I would say play it at least once before you play a friendly, play a practice battle, play something, because this timing is going to be very interesting to see where everything is going to come together. You know, I don't know the correlation of forces yet, how that's going to work out. I like, we get another Panzer division here. 17th Panzer comes on in turn 4. They'll come on back here on the southern edge of the map, and it will take them two turns full movement to get somewhere in the middle, which is where they might begin to do some good, which means that that's turn 4, depending, and turn 5. Again, depending. It depends on what 51st Army is going to do over here, if I have needs for that. So, lots of fun. Lots of good consideration. I mean, and I like this. This is, I like this idea of what we've got going on here, because, it's a relatively small game. And do a quick check here. These are 19 millimeter hexes. So my slide rule works, which is great. That means that I can do something along the lines of my headquarters is here, and I can use this slide rule and go out 7. It's not perfect, but it would say something like, well, I'm more than 7 away from 51st Army headquarters, right? I'm more than 7 away from those folks right there. It's a very easy way to say, oh, okay, I don't have to go count, right? I've always considered that to be one of the more fatiguing aspects of trying to do radius measurements here in this game. Not in this game specifically, but in hex encounter war games. And I'm really happy that these are 19 millimeter hexes. Now, I'm enjoying the heck out of this game so far. I'll reserve my judgment, an initial impression. I'll reserve a full initial impression until I've done a Soviet turn. But it seems to play well solitaire, which is, of course, how I'm doing this. All right. Well, I'm going to come back. Wow, 20 minutes. Almost 20 minutes. Sorry about this. Sorry, not sorry. I got a few things to say, so it's all good. All right. Well, I'm going to segment, and we'll come back for the Soviets. Let's talk through the Soviet turn 1 moves. No combats, not a whole lot of reason for doing so. So let's go through this in order, kind of, sort of, more or less. Reinforcements. Place the reinforcements over here in 0719. That's the 4th Mech. And during movement, they moved up. Now, I'll take a note to look at our reinforcements in supply. I think they are on the turn of entry. Advance, combat forts, leaders, scenario specific, blah blah. Right. Second guard game turn 1 reinforcements arrive in general supply and remain in general supply prior to the arrival of second guard's headquarters on game turn 3, provided they can trace a line of sight to a Soviet supply source. Okay, Soviet supply, line of sight, line of supply to a Soviet supply source. So basically I think they're going to the map, the edge of the map, north map. I'm going to go with that. They're not out of supply right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, where else? So for supply checks, I've got the black arrow right here. Had a new unit go into out of supply. They picked up the out of supply status because of the withdrawal of the 51st Army headquarters due to the retreat result in the combat. So they're out of supply. And that was pretty much it. So the red arrows indicate the moves. I've got a white arrow right here, which is a mech move. And we'll come to that by and by. So I moved the FR unit over here, the Fortress Region, right? 76 Fortress Region Brigade. I moved it 1 hex. That's all I get. Okay. The idea here is that we'll take over the field fort and free up the 61st Cav Division for better and more useful things. Did a disengage here with the out of supply 91st Infantry. So had 3 movement points, disengage 1, 2, 3 to try and break some contact and maintain, get some separation there. Left 17th Mech Brigade in Aksay, no problems. Did a disengage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the headquarters and the 13th Mech, and also brought down the 235th Flame Tanks, I guess, Brigade. They were out of supply initially. We'll come back to these out of supply markers. So did a disengage here, disengage here. Those are all significant. And then for the 61 plus 62 mech, came over from Aksay, took the road over and went into the zone of control here in 2116. Then in the mech move, did a disengage and took the road, convenient road that, over into this rough hex. So a nice defensive stopping point. Couple of units here, the 51st Army Anti-Tank Brigade or portion thereof, and the 234th Armor, both came up from the south. They were relatively unengaged and have crossed the Aksay River into 2316 to do a little Zoc magic there on 6th Panzer. So we've got 6th Panzer socked in here. They'll have to go around or through, and either way it's going to cost them a little bit of time. Okie dokie. Okay, so this is an interesting thing. So it says that in the mechanized movement phase, you check supply status. Now, I may be over interpreting that. Mechanized units. Yeah, it may be that only mechanized units check supply status because only they can move during that turn. But in any event, this is a mech unit. Come to think of it, he is a mech unit, isn't he? Why didn't I move more? Because he's about where I want him to be. That's fine. So he came into supply, and the flame tanks became in supply. And so that's a positive development. Mech, 17th mech over here remains in supply, 5, and the units over here are in supply, and so on. So the board is good, and that is the end of turn 1 for the Soviets. No combats, but some decent, I think some decent positioning. We'll have the 4th mech fan out on their turn 2. I don't know if we're going to get over the Mishkova. I wouldn't even necessarily want to, as the Germans, go figure. It's a little early for that. But we'll have to see. Frankly, I don't really necessarily see 57th Army. I mean, they're holding forces, right? They're, oh, that's not horrible. Let's take a quick look here. What's under these field forts? Weak, well, decently defensive. Oh, that's a good defensive unit. Sorry, I don't know if you can see these things. So 120th Infantry, 135 unit, that's pretty decent defense. It's coupled, or stacked with rather, 115th Frontier Region Brigade, which is an anti-tank 2. And then next door is the 422nd Division, Rifle Division 135. They've got some decent forces in the area, a little weak for expeditionary work, but they've got enough that they could maybe come south. And most everybody who cares is in field forts. Now, I'll need to look up the field fort rules because I'd really like to have another field fort right here. That seems to me a vulnerable position not to have a field fort. But do I have artillery? Come on, these are Soviets. They gotta have artillery. That's a assault gun. It's set up as a assault gun because of the anti-tank value. So armor. Sorry, just doing an impromptu and time-consuming inventory of what's over here. These guys stand fast. These guys stand fast. Yeah, you know, decently defensive. And then there's a second line of units here which could be used for other purposes. So here's an anti-tank and a mech. Not horrible. A couple of weak spots. That's weak. Ooh, that's weak potentially, and that's weak as I see it. So we'll have to see. Have to see what happens. Right, turn 1 Soviets complete, and hope you enjoyed the video. This is another long segment, but not as long as the first one. And so we'll do an elapsed time on this. I'm keeping track of elapsed time and step losses just for the heck of it. We'll go from there. Okay, y'all take care, and hope you like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you down the road.